2012 said, "My outlook on life has truly been changed." Cody Skinner, who graduated in 2011, said her experience as a student was inspiring, life-changing, and transformative. Alden Cook used the words vital, eye-opening, and enlightening to describe his experience. He graduated in 2009. Greg Lynn, who graduated in 2007, said, "ESA is a family who is passionate about the environment and each other's growth." And Alyssa Martin from the class of 2006 said the words, "Unique, exciting, and organic," best describe her experience in the program. I am honored to introduce a teacher who is truly one of a kind. One who teaches her students to embrace who they are, to tolerate each other's differences, and most importantly, to push themselves and to support one another through difficult transitions. Please welcome the founder of the Environmental Studies Academy, Dr. Rona Zollinger.
Good evening. Sometimes it pays to be a Z in the alphabet. I want to start by saying thank you to Cassie. I remember a young, angry teenager who didn't know her place in school and in her sense of power. And over the years, I've had the privilege of watching her grow. And I remember when I forced her to make her first public speech, and it didn't sound like that. And so I just want to honor her for the growth that she's demonstrated to all of you tonight. I also want to honor all of the teachers of Martinez Unified, and all of the administrators and all the people and students and community partners, as well as all the teachers tonight, and Terrell and Mona, the other semi-finalists. I want to thank you all for being such examples to me. And I'm here to talk too about what my students have taught me. And so I'm going to tell you a series of stories. The first story starts towards the end of last school year. It was a challenging school year. And it was toward the end of the school year, and I decided to take my students outside to the redwood grove just outside my classroom. And I asked them to stand with their backs against a tree that called out to them, that they could identify with. And I asked them to really notice that tree and ask that tree for some teaching. What does it feel like? What smells can you have? What does the bark taste like? What is the mulch and on the ground? What does it feel like? And then after that, I just asked them to be for a minute and just sit there, just with the tree. Because redwoods are important to my students. One, because they're important to me. So I talk about them a lot. Redwoods can grow up to 300 feet tall. They can live for thousands of years. They can be as big as 67 children surround you. They're fire resistant, insect resistant, and what amazes me the most is that they have super shallow root systems. Alone, one of those trees could fall, but together they weave this amazing network that supports an entire ecosystem of thousands of species to thrive. And so we were standing out there in our redwood grove, and I asked one of my fourth-year New Leaf students, Cheyenne, to lead us in a breathing meditation. And she asked everyone to imagine, and I'd like for you to do it too, pretend like I'm Cheyenne. I just got blonde hair, she's really skinny and cute. And she says, okay everybody, now you guys do it too, imagine roots growing out the bottoms of your feet, going down beneath the soil, and intertwining with the roots of the tree next to you. And then imagine those roots growing around and intertwining with your classmates. And then she asked us all to take a breath. So let's do that here together. then she said something that inspired me the most. She said, everyone, I'd like for you to realize that you're standing in a network of people who can help you become socially empowered agents of change. Now, I remember the first time one of my students articulated those words, socially empowered agents of change. It was at a 10-day summer institute on place-based learning. Cassie was actually there. And we were articulating the vision and mission of a brand new idea called the Environmental Studies Academy. And we were there, it was like day 5, and we were tired, and everyone wanted to go swimming. But we had to give these words. And Johnny said, hey, why don't we all just become socially empowered agents of change? I was like, what? What's that? I want to be that. Tell me what that is. And I knew in that moment that Johnny has just articulated the key to transformation in schools. And so from that moment on, I knew that my students had so much to teach me. And from then on, I have learned that I knew very little about how to teach, let alone about how to transform education. And so I have a couple of things that I've learned since then from my students. Number 1 is, life is not an academic exercise. I've learned that from watching students work side by side with community partners, pulling invasive plants, planting native plants, cleaning ditches, pulling out barrels from the coastal cleanup. And I've watched community partners look at those students and see that there's hope in the next generation. And those students have gotten jobs because of the dedication that they've shown. And the best moment was walking into the John Muir Historical Site for a meeting in the summertime. And there is Maddie working as a student ranger in her uniform 3 months after graduation. That was inspiring to me. And then there's the idea that it's more important to let your students teach than it is for you to teach them. And I've learned that from working with my partners at the elementary school. When we bring our high school students in, and they teach the elementary school students, they gather them around in a circle, and they talk about the plants they're going to put in the garden, and they dig up the earthworms, and they look at the 5 beating hearts. And my students' smiles light up like I've never seen before. And they remember the learning that I was trying to teach them the week before. When they weren't, they were texting. But in that moment, they knew that they were doing something important and it mattered to them. I've also learned that playfulness and innovation is one of the most important things that I can do every single day. Forget about what you thought you were going to do. And I learned that, well, time and time over, but one of the last moments was on the top of a mountain in Yosemite. Freezing cold, okay? Yeah, there was snow on the ground and ice, and we had just slept in it the night before, and then a student was complaining, and I looked at them and I realized that there was something else we should have learned. And what I realized was that this student was worried about the math they were going to complete when we got back home. And so I put on my thinking cap and I said, you know what? I know that you can do it. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to stand on top of this mountain and I want you to scream at the top of your lungs, I am awesome! And they didn't realize that the power that they gained in that moment was going to get them to do their math when they got home. And I've also learned that designing a creative and demanding and disciplined environment does not scare away those kids who failed in other schools. In fact, it helps them thrive just as long as just underneath the surface there's a strong network of roots, deep nutritious soil that helps them grow to be 300 feet tall, to be insect and fire resistant, and to grow